my pleasure to let you know a little bit about this project. We actually partnered with Citizens Against Government Waste, which is an organization outside of Washington, D.C., which has produced court reports at the federal and state level for years now. And it's now my pleasure to introduce CAGW's Vice President of Policy, David Williams, to say a few words.
Thank you, Jamie, and I want to thank the Grassroot Institute for putting together this fantastic publication. This is really amazing. And what would a press conference be without our mascot, Bigfoot? A very, very shy pig, as you can see. What I'd like to do is just take a couple of minutes of your time to explain who Citizens Against Government Waste is, why we're here, and some of the, the conclusion and recommendations on how to solve some of these problems. Citizens Against Government Waste is the official offshoot organization of the Grace Commission. This was an effort by Peter Grace in 1982 to go through every nook and cranny of the federal budget. And he found $400 billion that could be saved in the federal government. So over the past 25 years, we have been producing two publications in particular. One is the Pig Book, which is an expose of for-profit spending, and the other is called Crime Cuts. As you can see, we have a very pig-oriented theme with our publication. Sorry about that. And Crime Cuts this year identified 700 spending cut recommendations that could save the federal government $1.9 trillion. Well, a year ago, $1.9 trillion was a lot of money. This year, with the deficit to approach $1.2 trillion, that number's getting smaller and smaller. We're really kind of in a weird world where $1 trillion is going to be a deficit. But we're here to talk about the Hawaii Court Report. We have done 16 states, 26 reports in 16 states since 2002. And the message is simple. Before you ask taxpayers for one more dime of their money, cut the excessive spending, cut the waste, and make the government more accountable. In 2007, the state of Hawaii had surplus. Well, that may have been only 2 years ago, but it seems like a lifetime ago, considering the economic downturn that the whole country is in, including the state of Hawaii. So as you read through the court report, ask yourselves two questions. Can the taxpayers of Hawaii afford the program? Can they afford this waste? And also, is there a better way? Is there a better way to run the government than spending? Three areas I'm going to talk briefly about: transportation, golf courses, and spending rights. Now, transportation, I know for the past number of months and years, the rail project has been a huge issue here in Honolulu. $5.3 billion for this spring. And I think the probably the glaring part of this is $2.6 million spent on PR by the mayor. And when asked why he spent the money, he said the Federal Transit Administration required him to spend this money. Well, that sounds fine and good. Sounds like it's handy. Well, not exactly the case. The investigative reporter called the Federal Transit Administration and found out that there's no such requirement. $2.6 million that didn't have to be spent. Golf courses. Across the country, we see the state and localities owning golf courses and paying for golf courses. Now, this is amazing considering golf is one of the most popular sports in the country, and here in Hawaii, you have some of the really beautiful golf courses. Yet, in 2008, there's going to be a shortfall, and you're going to see golf courses losing money. In 2009, this is going to even get worse. Here's a situation where maybe a public-private partnership should take place, where the private sector needs to get involved so you can put more money back into the golf courses, attract more tourists, and really enhance the economy. It's amazing that a nationally renowned sport like golf and a worldwide renowned sport like golf can lose money, but leave it to the government to do that. Spending on art is interesting because if you ask the average family household, when they're going through dire economic times, what they're going to spend money on, they're going to say food, shelter, probably transportation to work, but the basic necessities. And that's what every government is going through right now, from the federal down to the state, down to the local level. They're tightening their belts. The last thing that they should be spending money on is art. And to reiterate what Jamie said about the Artmobile, $93,000 for an Artmobile that isn't even operating, hasn't operated since 2002, yet there's still money in the budget for this project. So what's the problem, and how do we move on, and how do we solve this? The problem is there's no accountability, and there's no consequences. If you are the head of an agency, or if you are a program manager, there are absolutely no consequences to wasting taxpayer money, and that needs to change. The solution is, first and foremost, transparency. It may sound simple, but it's very difficult, but we've seen it in other states. The state of Texas has a website where you can go and see every state expenditure. The first month in operation, the website was crashed because so many people went to the website to see where their money was being spent. I suspect it will have the same effect here in Hawaii because, first and foremost, people need to know where their hard-earned tax dollars are going. And secondly, just as was done at the federal level, there needs to be a state grace commission here to go through every nook and cranny of the state budget and of local budgets. And this is more of like a forensic audit to find out where the bodies are buried, where the money is being wasted. And at that point, you can move on and correct the problem. So you need the transparency and a state grace commission. And it can be done. The state of South Carolina, they reformed their Medicaid program. They are saving money and covering more people. That's how you solve the problems of government waste. It's not about getting rid of government programs per se, but making government more efficient. In South Carolina, covering more people in their Medicaid program and saving money, that should be a shining model. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David, and thank you so much for Citizens Against Government Waste support of this project. I'd like to add on to that, in addition to a Grace Commission or a transparency website where citizens can thumb through the whole entire database of state expenditures, I'd like to propose that the state legislature implement fiscal notes. Fiscal notes tell state legislators what bills cost that they're voting on, and Hawaii is the only state legislature in the country that does not utilize fiscal notes or fiscal impact statements. So I think that's an important issue and an inexpensive fix that our state legislators can make this legislative session. And also, David mentioned the investigative reporter who found out from federal officials that rail spending was not required. I just want to give her recognition, and that was Malia Zimmerman of Hawaii Reporter.